Welcome to our channel. Modern dating seems simple. A glance, a message, a reply. But if you have social anxiety, every step feels like a battle.
Yes.
Do modern dating apps like Tinder, Bumble, and so on make things easier for people with social anxiety? Or do these platforms actually make that anxiety worse?
First of all, in psychology, there's something we call the duck syndrome. So, duck syndrome is basically this. On social media, you can make everything look perfect, but you can hide all the effort, the struggles, and so on that go on behind the scenes. And since people focus directly on appearances, even the advertising industry does this. Well, now in such applications, people always show and highlight their good sides. Okay, so one thing about flirting is, or maybe that's what the first date should be like. Well, but these practices have started to take this beyond nature. Well, first of all, yes, of course, the brain always tends towards the simple. And since relationship dynamics have been somewhat disrupted in recent years, especially after the pandemic, people have started to prefer such practices more.
I have social anxiety.
Uh
Here's a great profile on Tinder.
huh.
Or a man has social anxiety. She's a wonderful girl. Met, the girl has nothing to do with it.
Yes.
Now, am I not adding 2 times more anxiety to the anxiety I already have there?
Yes, that learning process is taking place there now. They weren't like this at all in the beginning. But over time, they begin to experience such things more and more, which has an increasing effect on social anxiety. Well, simply put, no one trusts anyone. It further triggers social anxiety.
So, what if a person with social anxiety, when interested in someone, he either avoids them completely or idealizes them excessively? What is the psychological basis of this polarity?
Let's go neuropsychological again. This is more like the amygdala's approach reward. Avoid punishment response. As you know, when anxiety is high, we can't think logically. In other words, we can't really operate much in our neocortex. When anxiety exceeds a manageable level, the amygdala in our brain naturally gets triggered. And if our crisis management isn't strong, if our psychological resilience isn't strong, the amygdala gets activated. So now there's a tendency either to avoid, because we're talking about bad things. And as I said, there are also learned behaviors, like no one is really as they seem. Everyone wears a mask, acts a part, and so on. They idealize themselves. They try to make themselves liked by the other person. Yes.
When you say avoidance, does that mean looking for faults?
Of course. Now, we want to feel safe, right? When we are communicating with someone. So how can I feel safe in this situation? When I'm interacting with someone, do they have any flaws or not? I scrutinize these things thoroughly. If they don't have any flaws, or at least, let me put it this way, if they don't have enough flaws, if they don't have any flaws, or if their flaws are at a level that can be overlooked, then they're trustworthy. But let's say you created a profile on this social media app.
Yes.
You match with someone else, and then you met up with the person you matched with, and that person is someone who looks for flaws. When they see that you're not that kind of person, they tend to avoid you. Oh, he didn't find it. He did not find faults in the work. You are exhibiting something parallel to the image you draw in your profile. Then he tends to idealize. Well, getting to know a person or making a decision about that person is not something that can be done in just 1 or 2 meetings with someone I just met. This is a process. We need to look at the situation from this perspective. There's also a bit of something else here. I mean, have we perhaps adapted too much to the fast pace of life? Are we hypnotized? Do we think we have to make decisions immediately because of the fast pace of life?
It's possible.
Let's look at this angle.
So, are there really people who can't flirt? Or is this just a reflection of fear and behavior? I mean, is it really our anxiety that's completely controlling us there? Or is it truly that they can't flirt?
People who can't flirt are generally controlled by their anxiety. Because I've been observing this in recent years. Let me put it this way. I'm 38 years old. in our generation, things like this weren't very common. And actually, every process has its own nature. When we don't act in accordance with this, whether it's because of our anxieties, some other reason, or underlying psychological causes, this could be related to a specific trauma, or maybe we have an avoidant attachment style. It could also stem from these factors. They can't flirt. What have I been noticing in recent years? People can flirt with several people at the same time. So, what is this? Isn't this a bit of a safety net approach?
Yes.
If one doesn't work out, there will definitely be someone else. I mean, socializing is a need after all.
Isn't that how it is nowadays?
Yes, you could say this process is being corrupted at some point. But yes, in this way, the person feels safe when flirting with several people at the same time. You can't really experience the feeling fully. You're always acting out of anxiety, always with anxiety. Or, well, no relationship is valuable if you haven't paid some price for it. Of course, the price should be within reason. If you pay too high a price, then you start to lose your place at the center of your own life, and the relationship begins to turn toxic. No relationship is valuable if you haven't paid a price. But people who flirt with several people at once and act without anxiety can't fully experience the feeling because they're avoiding paying that price. As a result, relationships are becoming increasingly superficial.
In what kinds of situations does social anxiety arise?
Is it in relationship situations like flirting or on a first date?
Yes.
How does it manifest? We can observe its effects in this way. Social anxiety causes us to feel social apprehension. We can simply find ourselves alone with the fear of being rejected or the fear of being deceived. Naturally, as you know, the brain always has a need to feel safe. Because of this, a person might flirt with several people at the same time, or as you said, they might display an avoidant attitude after the first date. There is a subtle difference between this and attachment styles. With attachment styles, it's a situation that emerges after the relationship has started. So someone with anxious or avoidant attachment might prolong the flirting phase a lot. For the brain, the most important thing is to feel safe, no matter what it's doing. Naturally, in the photos and videos they send, they create a certain image for the other person. Someone who appears to be very self-confident might actually be the type who spends minutes thinking about what message to send, writing and deleting it over and over, focusing on the tiniest details. We see this as the relationship progresses. So, what do we usually hear from people in these kinds of situations? They weren't at all like I expected. Since one of the parties has already invested in the relationship, it's not as easy to walk away as it was in the beginning.
The answers were productive for me. I hope they were the same for viewers as well. Mine.
I especially want comments. See you in the next video.